Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features the Uncanny X-Men number 232, cover dated August 1988. And as the cover makes plain, the Brood is back. The cover image is by Marc Silvestri and Dan Green. And just one quick note before opening up the comic. The colouring here, not quite the usual colour for the Brood, usually coloured brown. So it makes this face on the cover look a lot more like a dragon. Not that that's terribly a bad thing. So opening up to our first page, we've got 22 pages of interior story. We've got 4 panels that call back to Uncanny X-Men 215 to 218. Here we've got Storm and Wolverine against Stonewall and Crimson Commando. The other members of the X-Team, Dazzler, Psylocke and Rogue, Longshot against Juggernaut in Edinburgh. And Lorna Dane, Polaris and Havok dancing in Paris, New Mexico. And at that time, we tune in with these civilian characters who are camping out, and they are witness to this meteorite falling to Earth, as it seems. So they go to investigate, and one of them turns out to be a paramedic, and he brings his first aid case with him. And then they discovered this strange object at the crash site, and it turns out to be alive. And while this particular character, Sally Harding, as the caption makes plain, who's a teacher and always wanted to be in Indiana Jones, as she pokes at the body at the crash site, the head turns around and chomp, she's gone. So this turns out to be a star shark, and longtime readers of the X-Men would recognize this as the interstellar mode of transport for the Brood. The Brood making their first appearance back in Uncanny X-Men 155, co-created by Claremont and Dave Cockrum. So we get this horrifying scene where the paramedic, Harry Palmer is his name, is stopped in his tracks by the horror of what's happened to his friend. His girlfriend, when running away, breaks her ankle, and he decides, instead of to help her, to flee. So he flees to his Volkswagen van and makes his getaway, as it appears. Running off the road, Polaris and Havok, something that we witnessed back in Uncanny X-Men 218, but we didn't know what the story was with the VW van, but now we do. And then we have this nice storytelling device in the bottom 2 panels, where Silvestri draws Harry terrified, driving for his life, and then switching forward into the present, with Harry at the wheel of an ambulance, driving to a medical emergency with his colleague Josie. So they turn up at the site of a fire, and this man here, his name is Harry Delgado. Is it Harry Delgado? No, Robert Delgado, who has set his office on fire and has had a heart attack, and appears to be a mutant whose powers have manifested suddenly and burnt down the office. And as Harry's attending to him, we learn that Harry didn't make it away from the site of the Star Shark crash without being infected by the Brood, as his hand turns into this Brood tentacle, which is thrust into the torso of Delgado, presumably turning him into Brood as well. And then our scene switches to the new headquarters of the X-Men in the Northern Territory of Australia, and the mysterious figure of Gateway, who sits atop his sacred rock and is the agent of teleporting the X-Men in and out of their headquarters. And at this point, he teleports in using his bull roarer, Madelyne Pryor, who it turns out has been shopping in Sydney, and who, while there, has gotten herself a new hairdo and dress. And as she looks at herself in the mirror, she thinks, new hairstyle, new outfit, and nobody around to tell me how absolutely great I look. The story of her life. Then we see her at her computer monitors, which were left behind by the Reavers when they were ejected from the town by the X-Men in number 229. And interesting the way that Silvestri has drawn this. Looking at this, it looks almost like a heart here in the computer center. And Madelyne is spending her time while the X-Men are away. She doesn't know where, they just left a note that they have left. Designing a new emblem or logo for the team, and she comes up with the idea of an 8-pointed star. So while she's doing that, a TV broadcast appears on the computer monitors, and it is of her husband, Scott Summers, with Marvel Girl Jean Grey, members of X Factor, being interviewed. And apparently this scene occurs around about or in X Factor issue number 29. So Madelyne is taken aback by seeing her husband on screen. They've been separated for some time. Their son Nathan has been abducted by the Marauders, and in anguish and anger at seeing Cyclops with Jean Grey and the body language between them, she lashes out at the computer screen, breaking it. And then there's apparently some feedback from the computer screen and the computer system, which in previous issues she's pondered the question as to whether it might be alive, because there's something strange about the system there. So then our scene switches to Denver, Colorado, with Harry Palmer returning home to his apartment one misty, spooky looking night there. And as he walks to the apartment, he passes by a kissing couple under the lamplight, and he makes his way into the apartment, wondering about ordering a pizza, actually, as it turns out. And when he enters the apartment, got to turn the pages for this, he is met by this mysterious figure, and the door is slammed behind him by Colossus. And he lashes out instinctively and surprisingly is able to lift Colossus clear off the ground, throws him at this figure, who it turns out is Psylocke, because Colossus reveals that to the reader. Psylocke turning up in a new costume out of the blue in this issue, and the two of them being thrown out through the brick wall of Palmer's apartment building. So he leaps out from what he says is the third floor, rips off the door of his car. He doesn't have time to unlock it, but his car is plasma blasted by Havok. And then the kissing couple turn out to be Longshot and Dazzler, and he throws the car door at them. Longshot acts just in time to save Ali, and the car door slices this electrical wire post clean through, and Rogue has to act in order to prevent any danger to civilians. And so in the middle of all of that, Palmer makes his getaway. So just an observation here regarding Ali and Longshot. There seems to be going on in the background a development of their relationship. A question is whether they were pretending to kiss as Palmer was making his way to the apartment, or whether they genuinely were kissing at that time. No explanation given, though the reader has to make it out for themselves. So then it turns out, of course, the X-Men are here, and this is coming through true on the promise of the whole concept of the X-Men faking the fact that they've died. Not faking the fact that they've died, but rather faking the fact that they have returned from the dead, courtesy of Roma, and using the belief among the general public and their friends and family that they are dead to strike hard and fast at their enemies out of the blue. So that is what we're finally getting to see here in this issue. And we realize from their dialogue with each other that they have tracked Palmer from the Star Shark crash site in New Mexico all the way here to Colorado. And it's, of course, Wolverine has used his olfactory powers to track Palmer by his scent, blended with the Brood, to Denver. So Wolverine and Colossus and Storm are the only current X-Men members to have previously encountered and dealt with the Brood, so they know how deadly they are. And Wolverine is determined to kill Palmer as soon as he finds him again, but Storm tells him not to, that they're going to use Psylocke to find out how many others Palmer might have infected with the Brood virus or eggs. As she says to the other X-Men who have no experience of the Brood, think of this as a plague, X-Men, more virulent than any you can even imagine. Either we stop it now, praying we are not already too late, or our world is doomed, as Wolverine heads off to track Palmer down. So we pick up with Palmer fleeing from the X-Men, and in the background of some panels we see advertisement of this Glory Day ministry, which is going to pay off in the subsequent 2 issues of this 3-part storyline. So that's all being seeded here in the background of this particular issue. So Palmer tries to hail a cab, no luck. Then he stops one of the city buses, gets aboard. But who does this figure in the shadows turn out to be except Rogue? So once again, Palmer acts on instinct. It is clear to the reader from this issue that Palmer is unaware of his nature as a Brood, and it is only in moments of stress or opportunity for the Brood within him that the Brood emerges, as it does here when Palmer gets his hand around Rogue's neck. But she is rescued by Wolverine, who smashes in through the window of the bus and throws Palmer clear. The bus crashes, there's an explosion, and in the midst of the confusion, Palmer runs into a blind alley where he finds himself facing Wolverine here in silhouette, who pops his claws and is getting ready to kill him. But Rogue comes along and reminds him once again that they're going to have to keep Palmer alive until Psylocke's done with him, reading his mind. And then the implication is that he's going to be killed. So just in the nick of time, this police car turns up, and Harry Palmer knows the police from his work as a paramedic, and Wolverine leaps into action, hits the door of the police car, and slashes the female police woman Ruth here, apparently killing her. And Rogue is horrified. "You just killed a cop," she shouts. But it turns out, of course, Wolverine is using his olfactory powers to determine that the cops are not cops at all, but rather Brood. And indeed, it turns out that the X-Men are surrounded by Brood. As Palmer says, we're all of us Brood here, and soon, old enemies, very soon, you will be too. So how are the X-Men going to get out of this one? Well, obviously everyone had to pick up the very next issue. Something else to note here, I ran over a bit too quickly the credits for this issue. So as always, Chris Claremont, writer, Silvestri, returning penciler, inker Dan Green, Glynis Oliver, colorist, Tom Orzechowski, letterer. And here is a key moment. Ann Nocenti bowing out as editor after 5 years on the title, and her replacement Bob Harras coming aboard with this issue. So this is momentous because ultimately Harris's tight editorial reign would yield some very focused storylines from Claremont, but also something that he didn't want, which was to put the X-Men back in the X-Mansion and back in the school, so to speak, and bringing Professor X back too. And ultimately clashes with Harris as editor led to Claremont leaving the X-Books after 16 years. So this is a momentous moment, as it would turn out to be a couple of years later. So there you go, Uncanny X-Men 232. I hope you enjoyed this review and read through of this first part of a 3-part Brood storyline. If you did, please like the video, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.